Hey everyone, my name is Veje and today I'm going to talk about the 17 maps I did for the Shitfest Trackmania competition. And so Shitfest is really hard to describe, but you'll see the maps hopefully. So this is my first map ever from Trackmania, and you can see that I use the term clippy. And so I found a way to clip into a block, and I decided to make a full map out of it. And so it was super interesting to see all of the ways you can start clipping or half clipping and making it like a 30-second map. This is the first one. The next one was still also interesting, but super easy. I was basically trying to make the car Yitz like this. And so I tried to find a good setup for finding really good bounces. And I was pretty pleased, it didn't take me long, but it was interesting. And also the color shading was a bit over the top. It was useful. In this one, I was actually watching the Netflix show Drive to Survive, and I was able to reproduce this. I actually spent a lot of time cutting and pasting the sound from actual F1 cars, as you can barely hear here, but unfortunately I messed up and they were not able to play it for the people. And so yeah, this is interesting, and I put some cars in, and many people actually hit some of those cars, adds to the Shitfest elements. This. So this one I was doing coaching with Yannex, and he told me how to actually go past boosters that we can see at the end. He called the technique doing the salmon, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. So I ended up building a map with salmon, and here I played with the camera where there's hundreds of cars in the actual events flowing upstream, and at the end you will see you're able to do the salmon. Yep, so you're going left and right, and this is called the salmon. And so the cool thing about the Shitfest is you only play the map with one warm-up and one round, and there's hundred people playing, and so it's super nice to see how people adapt and have fun in the process, hopefully. So for the next map, I was playing Catan with my family, and I figured, hey, it may be interesting to do a Catan map. And to make it more shitty, I started putting all of the cards on top of the car. So now it's harder to actually control. And this is one of my first map where there's actually routes. And it was actually a really bad route, but it was interesting. I put all of those numbers, and at this point, this is when Yannex, my coach, is basically blocking me putting a road. So I found it to be interesting to put. And so now we're going to get all of the cars that we need. Finally, we're going to buy a house, our first house, and going to end in the 3-for-1 bricks. So this one is again from what I was doing. I was actually at a ski station with my family. I figured oh, we could do something in the morning, with somebody that doesn't know how to ski, and someone that skis better. So my 7-year-old skis, so this is a lesson, and I'm really bad at the game, but it's actually pretty hard using a custom camera like this. Finally, at the end, this is where I get some ski time. I'm actually not that good a skier, but it was fun. And so yeah, this is force cam 1. I put the skis, and I put some ramp. It actually works pretty well where you can do some jumps like this. So it was pretty fun. The next map is, as I mentioned, I was doing a lot of coaching sessions with Yannex, and I figured, oh, I would actually put them all together. And so I started doing one. And one of the things I messed up here is that the way this was intention, it was only if you're going at low speed, but people were doing the first turn way faster and completely messed up the speed. And so here you can see a grass slide, and all of those tricks so far were pretty well known, but this one was not. And so this one is a way if you're on an edge like this, you can get out of this using this weird maneuver and get out. And this is full speed. We can get speed by drifting and putting your tire marks next to each other. So this was a fun way to thank NX for helping me with this. So this one is a TTR, so this is the first map I wanted to do, and I did 5 different attempts. This is the one where I was actually figured out, oh yeah, this actually makes sense. And so here you're the arrow, and you're trying to match the other arrow. So it's not really how is left and right, but it's the closest I could do within Trackmania to be able to make it work. And this was actually really hard to control. So this one is the first time I actually used programming outside of Trackmania. So in this case I wanted to do like hot and cold and trying to figure out, hey, where are you? And in this case like, oh, you're hotter, you're hotter, you're hotter, and then you realize like you need to go up. And so for this what I did was you can do a trigger for a certain zone. And so I modified the map to create triggers in a sphere fashion. And at the finish it's 100%, and then like one slot later, like farther away, it's like 98%, etc., all the way to the start. And one thing I didn't realize is like having so many triggers was actually slow down the map, so it ended up being like super laggy for people, but it was a pretty cool concept. In this one I was playing Minecraft with my daughter, and I realized somebody had created like a Minecraft mod. You can have Minecraft blocks, and I was like, hey, that sounds cool, so I'm going to reproduce the AO1, the super famous first Trackmania map, into the game. And so this is what you get, and the thing that's pretty cool is if you go fast enough you can hit like this and then do a double bounce. It was a pretty fun concept and map. For the next one, this is like where is Waldo? And for this, on the Shitfest there was like a map where you could actually see other players, and it would actually make sense to follow them. I was figured out what are the concepts that could work with this, and I did this one. It was like the fastest map I've done, but it was pretty cool. This one like was Easter coming up, and I was realizing, hey, we should do an Easter hunt. So I started hiding eggs, and I was like, hey, like the Easter bunny should actually help us. And so those cows, if you show the names, are actually Easter bunny, and they're actually telling you where the eggs are hidden. It ended up not being used as a proper map for the Shitfest, but as a startup, warm-up, let's wait for people to come in. It was pretty cool to see like all the people start exploring this house kind of shape. We found all of the eggs, so now we can go to the finish. This one I spent a lot of time thinking about how to re-implement Flappy Birds. I tried a bunch of different things using reactor boost and water, and in the end like the simplest thing that could come actually worked well is to have a tilted ice path with those edges. And it really feels like Flappy Bird where you actually ice slide in order to go up and down. So I'm pretty happy about this one. It hasn't been played yet, so we'll see if people like it. For this one, this was with a new update. There was new blocks, like boosters like this, and I was like, oh, they look like lasers, so I could do a Mission Impossible kind of map with the lasers. And you can actually like walk through the wall to like escape some lasers. And finally, when you enter the last room, you're going to get the cup. And one of the things I didn't realize when I started this map, I was like, oh, this is the finish. But then I started doing the map in reverse, and you can actually get a huge speed up by doing the boost on the opposite direction. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool, like the escape. But I ended up keeping it. So this one is, there was a new edition called Shitfest Kart, where you do Mario maps, and I did an attempt at doing one. It didn't end up being selected for the competition, but I thought it was pretty cool. At the beginning there's 3 question mark things, and only one actually lets you go. And this is the Lucky 2, has the camera, so you're driving with the force camera, which is pretty cool. So for this one, this is the game Wave Race 64, like an old game. This is my first intro that I've done, which is like not super high tech, but I found it was cool. And so this is a map where like you're racing on water, and if you go too fast, you're like hit like all over the place. So you need to actually like be pretty slow. This is like very similar to actually how the Wave Race 64 game is being played. This is like my first real attempt at using the mesh modeler. It's not depicted here, but if you lose the reactor, then under the water there's a full reactor on the entire map. And for the last one, I was trying this RPG called Kickflip, and they had this like Tony Hawk kind of place, and so I basically ripped all of the other part of the map and just reproduced like Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, to like play the game that I've played a lot when I was a child. Here you need to get like the word, like the letters for the word thrash. I shouldn't take any of the credit, like I just like slimmed down the map and made it like Shitfest ready, but I felt it was a pretty cool concept, and like more people should see it. Yeah, this is all of the 17 maps I've done. I hope it was entertaining, and the last 5 ones haven't been played yet, so if you're playing the Shitfest in the next competition, you may see one of them. Cool, thank you, bye!